What sticks, everyone? Welcome to the Captain Avalanche Fancast, your unofficial source for all things Colorado Avalanche hockey and more from a fan perspective, hosted by me, Captain Avalanche Core, and he's the assistant captain of our Olympic team, Dom. Now, we're no insiders. We're not inside the locker room face-to-face with our favorite players, but we hope to create a relatable and welcoming environment because we're just like all of you listening. Fans with a deep passion for the game of hockey, and in this case, the Colorado Avalanche. The Olympics are fully underway, as is the men's hockey tournament. But lest we forget, the women's hockey tournament is already well underway, and they're making history. With this Olympic hockey tournament, we will harshly judge each team's choice for captain and assistant captains. We have some fun Olympic hockey hypotheticals today, whose rabbit holes I'm sure we will dive down way too deeply into, knowing Dom and I. But of course, it's the Olympics. So what other sports have we been watching? Because there have already been plenty of crazy moments to share. It's Olympic Week 1 on the Captain Avalanche Fancast. But before we go any further, Dom, we have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
Or more specifically, I have a problem.
Oh no, what's the problem?
I have a new obsession.
Oh, what might that be?
Collecting hockey cards.
Oh, you're collecting hockey cards? I mean, that's fun though.
Well, so here's the whole thing. I've always kind of had like hockey packs that I'll pick up occasionally. I'll rip them open, just retail packs out of the store. You know, they're like $5, no big deal. They come with a bunch of cards. Just like to collect and see if I have players that I can, fucking identify, players from the Avs, everything like that. But I recently, speaking of rabbit holes, dove down the hockey card collector's rabbit hole to understand more, because I was like, man, I see these other like things. What is this? You know, what are these other variant cards, and what does this mean? Oh boy. So, yeah, I've spent the last few days, shall we say, perseverating over this topic. And in fact, have dreamed now about hockey card collecting a few times. And, you know, at first I started out just wanting to get one, and then another came across my dashboard, and then another, and then another. eBay is not good for this. So they also tell you, if you're starting to collect, to just go for individual cards, which makes sense. You know, you don't need everything. You don't need to buy the big expensive boxes. Just get the cards of players you like. But to let you know across my email dashboard here how many things I have that say, you know, estimated arrival or shipped, that have to do with this new collection of mine. And for those who don't know me, I've been collecting things all my life. As a kid, it was rocks, and evolved very quickly into other knickknacks and trinkets. And now as an adult with money, it gets very bad. So let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's just what's shipped so far.
Are those packs or individual cards?
Individual cards.
Okay, but that's awesome. And listen, as a fellow collector, I started with rocks and like the little ones. You'd be traveling, right? You'd go on a road trip with your family and get those colorful rocks at some store in the middle of nowhere, right? That you think are like special, and really they're just painted rocks. But mine evolved, of course, into the Pokemon card collecting, and then the Magic the Gathering card collecting, which is just beyond absurd. And now I'm a pack rat who can't get rid of things. So I feel you there, and I support you on your journey. Everyone, when you're going to collect, we encourage you to collect, but do so responsibly for yourself and your wallet. And I hope you are as well, my friend.
Some of these cards are so fucking cool. Like, I look at them,
I can't wait to see them.
Ah! So yeah, one of the things that they do say, exactly as you said, when you start collecting, set a budget. I need to do that because it's going to get dangerous it already has if I don't. So yes, Dom is right. Set a budget, everybody. Oh God, my parents are listening to this. They're going to be so disappointed in me when they hear this. But it's fine. The cards are really great. So it works out. It's so great. Anyway, first item on the agenda. Just wanted to share that new obsession. Hockey cards are really, really fucking cool. I cannot lie. So I am going to slow myself down now and ensure that I have set a budget because you're exactly right. It's so easy. I do need to talk about this a little more. It's so easy to just get lost in it because you see one here. It's like, oh, just, $1.25 bid. You win it. Oh, here's another one. Oh, this one's a little more, but I still want it for a good price. But then you come across one that it's like, wow, that's like a high-end card, yeah, but it's a little bit more. But man, do I really want that card? And it can spiral very quickly. So be careful out there, everyone. Be mindful of your spending. Be mindful of what you're doing because, it can add up very quickly. So we'll say that. Be responsible. As somebody who has a degree in personal finance, budget and spend responsibly. But okay.
Yes, and wait to do your excessive personal shopping until after you've received your tax refund if you have one coming your way, because then you can girl math it, boy math it, whatever math it that the social media is on top of these days and justify buying something for yourself.
Exactly. You always deserve a little treat for yourself. But on to our actual first order of business today. The team captain. Every team, all 12 of them in the tournament, have selected their captain and assistant captains. Some are exactly who you would expect. Some are interesting, to say the least, I think is the way to put it. But some are definitely meant to be celebrated. Some have caused people to roll their eyes. But before we get into those captains, Dom, you have some pre-tournament rankings here. Some that people may not agree with, but some pre-tournament rankings nonetheless.
I do indeed, and I can tell you these rankings, and Corey has seen these rankings before. They are in fact pre-tournament because I already know I would make two different changes after just the two games today. So even though we only have two games, there are definitely two different spots where I would move one team up and one team down a spot. But with no further ado, let's just count them down from 12 to 1. At number 12, while I love the Italians and I want them to succeed, especially as the host nation, they had to be ranked number 12. They have a grand total of 0 minutes of NHL experience across their 25-man roster. I can't put them anywhere other than 12th, unfortunately. At 11, it'll be France for me. At 10, I have the Danes. I do think Denmark can be interesting with Nikolai Ehlers, but not a team I expect to be challenging for a medal at any point in time. At number 9, I have Latvia. As you put it to me, Corey, the lore between Latvia and Canada is legendary. So Latvia might be at number 9 in these power rankings or these pre-Olympics rankings, but don't be surprised if they match up against Canada that they could pull out the win. At number 8, I have the Swiss. At 7, the Germans. At 6, the Slovaks. At 5, the Finns. At 4, the Czechs. At 3, the Swedes. And then at your top 2, drum roll please, except for not actually, because we all know where this is going. At number 2, it's going to be the U.S. because they left home too much talent. And number 1, far and away, it's Canada. I really hope they don't get ahead of themselves and look too far ahead because they're going to have a great game against Czechia when you're listening to this tomorrow.
Now, with that being said, after today's games, which we will talk about here in a little bit, who would you switch around, Dom?
Not to create any spoilers per se, but Italy did surprise me, and I would move them up to 11th over the French. And if you know me, you know I'm biased, and I like my Italians much better than my French. Shout out my sister. And I would actually switch Slovakia and Finland. Now, some of you might recall that when the rosters were coming out and with some of the injuries, I was a little bit low on Finland. I wasn't confident in their ability to succeed. And Slovakia has always been a dark horse for me, but I definitely think I would revise and put Slovakia at number 5 and more in that medal contender tier than Finland in my own mind.
So there you go, everybody. But yes, I agree. Don't want to give away too much. So with that being said, let's jump right into these captaincy choices. First and foremost, Canada. To absolutely zero people's surprise, Sidney Crosby has once again been named Captain Canada, which I don't really think there's anybody else who it could ever be, to be totally honest with you, with his assistant captains being both Cale Makar and Connor McDavid. Now, what I can see from the other captains and assistant captains, teams can have up to 4 assistant captains, but for Canada, obviously, that whole locker room oozes leadership. So really, you have some people with the A's on their chest, but they by no means are lacking in leadership. But, same captaincy that the 4 nations had, same assistant captains as well. Interesting that we once again do not see, I think, fellow Nova Scotian Nathan MacKinnon with an A.
Yeah, I think you're right here, though, that there's so many players to choose from, so many players on this roster who wear a letter for their team in the NHL. Captain Crosby is a given. In 4 years, maybe we'll see Connor McDavid take the mantle as the next one. It's a potential that people have been projecting for years, though. Who knows? Maybe Macklin Celebrini will be taking the captaincy by then. We shall see. But I guess my point is, think about it, that Macklin wears the A and is effectively the C for the Sharks. Sure, I think McDavid wears the C, right? Cale Makar you've projected to probably be a future captain of the Colorado Avalanche ahead of Nathan MacKinnon. So in that way, it's not surprising that MacKinnon would be the odd man out and find himself not wearing the A while Cale does.
And I mean, Nathan MacKinnon doesn't want to be captain anyway. He wears the A, obviously, but it's kind of obvious to most people who watch the Avalanche that that's not something that he wants to shoulder and that he feels there are better people better suited for it. But that was my next question, and you beat me to it, was who's going to be the next Captain Canada. But, man, I do agree that Connor McDavid just kind of makes the most sense. He already is the captain of the Edmonton Oilers. It seems like the next logical step. Whether I'm happy about it or not is irrelevant. That's just what seems right. And as much as I'd like to defend your position of Macklin Celebrini being the captain of Canada, which may happen one day, you know how the Olympics go. They're never going to select a young kid. Never, ever, ever. There are multiple 40-year-old captains within this within these choices here that we have today. So unlikely Macklin Celebrini sees that captaincy until he eclipses the age of 30.
And you're right. I had to say it because, 1, I'm a homer, and 2, I know you're biased against McDavid, but I think McDavid he's been waiting patiently.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as have all NHLers, just to be able to be at the Olympics, but he is the next one, and Macklin will have his time maybe 4 to 8 years after McDavid is the captain. When we look at it, I mean, because think about it, it's every 4 years and time flies, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this tournament goes well and we get to do this again in 4 years as well. And Gary Bettman doesn't change his mind and really just frustrate all of us.
Truly. I give these captaincy pick 5 Tim Hortons out of 5. Tim Hortons glazed out of 5. On to Czechia.
Wow.
Czechia's captain is, let's see if I can say this right, Roman Cervenka, and their assistant captains are Radko Gudas and David Pastrnak. Now, I had to dive into Mr. Roman Cervenka here. He's actually quite the decorated player across the Czech league. Of course, veteran, 40 years old, been playing since 2000 on a U18 team. So been playing hockey for a million fucking years at this point. But let me just read some of these awards that he has. 2-time world championship medal, world junior bronze, 2-time world champion bronze medal, the Czech League, Extra Liga. He's won the championship there, so their Stanley Cup essentially. 2-time Czech Extra Liga most assists, most points, player of the year, IIHF male player of the year. Need I go on?
No, but apparently you and I are a million years old because he's been playing hockey as long as we've been alive.
So,
which I'm glad you did some digging because I did not recognize his name off bat. And my initial reaction would have been surprise until you read out all of that. I had figured Radko Gudas would have been the captain, considering his role now with the Anaheim Ducks, and just his experience in the NHL. But you know, with what you're saying, he's the elder statesman and he plays in the Czech league, so all of the fans are going to know and recognize him. And from our previous conversation, I think that's just as important when you're picking a captain. So he sounds like the perfect pick.
Yes, and I mean a good combo of, I think, Czech nationals and then NHL players here. It just makes sense. From what I'm seeing here, this makes sense. Although I'm not going to lie, Radko Gudas is probably one of the oddest captain choices in the entire NHL, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying he's an odd choice for captain. So I guess in this situation, I think also an odd choice for assistant captain. David Pastrnak doesn't surprise me at all. So for this, I will rank their captain and assistant captain choices. Let's see. What do I want to do here? 4 World Junior medals out of 5.
And that's fair. I will say, just in defense of Radko Gudas, I think he got his role as captain both from his experience, obviously being a Stanley Cup champion with the Panthers. But, you know, you need to have a guy who's going to stick up for his team, right? And before they went and got Granlund, who maybe would make more sense as captain for the Ducks today, they needed someone who was going to be a leader and protect all of their young guys. And I think Gudas has done that. So that would be my only rebuttal to Gudas as a captain within the NHL. And similarly, bringing that experience and that intensity, we've already seen, and no major spoilers, but we've seen some physicality in just 2 games so far. So I think in that way, he's a leader from a physical perspective as well.
Certainly so. Certainly so. But he did get the nickname Ratko Gudas for a reason. Moving on. Denmark.
Nice.
Denmark's captain is, let me see, Jesper. Would you say Jensen? Yeah. Jesper Jensen Abo.
Yeah, Jensen.
And his assistant captains are Oliver. Oh, gosh. Larid. Help me. Loridson.
Yeah, I would think that's, I'd say Loridson or Loridson.
Loridson and Patrick Russell. I did also look up Jesper here, who's also, you know, an elder statesman, been playing for a while, 34. No massive achievements to be seen here, whether it's in his own league or, you know, IIHF. However, obviously, the experience, he's been wearing an A and a C for Denmark, I'm seeing here, for a long, long time, including on their U20 teams. So, I mean, by all means, he has served, I think, captain for Denmark in a lot of international tournaments, or assistant captain, kind of looking back historically here. So, evidently, due to that experience, Jesper Jensen Abo once again serves as the captain for Denmark. So, I give this captaincy choice and assistant captaincy choice question mark Denmark flags out of 5.
Question mark Denmark flags. That's funny. I thought, I guess this one, it's hard to say because I don't know as many players from this roster. Lars Eller is a name I recognize, of course, but Jesper Jensen Abo as a name, I feel like, was he at any point in his career in NHLer? Because the name is familiar.
Not that I'm seeing. Not according to Elite Prospects.
Oh, Well then, never mind. I was gonna dive down a rabbit hole there that doesn't exist.
How
So
dare you
carry
not?
on.
How dare you not know things, Dom? That's illegal here at the Captain Avalanche Fancast. You're supposed to know everything.
Sorry, everyone. I'm a letdown, I guess.
He is. Moving right along.
Just like this next team. Dun, dun, dun.
Finland. Finland's captaincy choice, as correctly predicted by Dom from the Tank, was Mikael Granlund, whose assistant captains are accurately predicted by me, Sebastian Aho and Mikko Rantanen. You predicted that Mikko Rantanen could possibly be a captain. Well, he's an assistant captain. He was one for the Avs, so all NHL captaincy here. They do have a few outside of the NHL on the Finnish team, but I mean, I think it just makes sense. If Barkov was there, he would be the captain. He's not there, so they went with the old storied veteran in Mikael Granlund. I don't think it's a bad choice at all. This all makes sense to me. Finland is loaded with talent. They have a lot of great players who I think have leadership potential here. Even though Mikko Rantanen has turned into Mikko Ratinen over the course of this season, he still very much has served as a leader. So this just makes sense.
Yeah, the captaincy makes sense. Actually, fun fact, there is only one player on this roster who is not an active NHLer.
Mikko
and
Lehtinen.
that player is also, yes, Mikko Lehtinen is the only member of this team to have played for Finland 4 years ago in the Olympics when they were last held in 2022.
So there you go. I give this captaincy choice 5 Slavic upsets out of 5. Oopsie, did I say that out loud? Anyway.
You could have called them Slavic upside down cakes or something.
Moving on. France. France's captain is former Avalanche legend Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, assisted by Stefan DaCosta and Johan Avitu. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare has over 700 games of NHL experience. He's been on multiple near Stanley Cup winning rosters, but will always leave the team too early or join too late. He left the Avalanche in 2020, 2021, and joined the Lightning in 2021-22, and was on the losing end when the Avalanche won. But Edouard Bellemare, also 40 years old, highly experienced veteran, has played on the international stage before. So of the limited NHL experience that France has, him and Texier, I think from my limited knowledge of French hockey, this makes the most sense for captaincy.
Yeah, it certainly does. That was the first name I recognized on this roster as well. Although Texier is going to have to be the one to carry this team on his back, and if they want to win really any games, in my opinion.
Really riveting stuff. Unfortunately, everybody, I didn't have time to dig into every single person here as much as I would have liked to. But if you are desperate to know more about Stefan DaCosta and Johan Avitu, let me know, and I will figure that out for you. If you need to know everything there is to know about the French national team, by God, I will find out for you. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, I know. Really riveting opinions here. I rank this captaincy choice. Let's go 4 croissants out of 5. Moving on to Germany. I'm very tired, everyone. I've been having a hard time.
Let me rank the next two.
Okay, sounds good. For your captain, we have Leon Draisaitl. His assistants being Tim Stutzla and Moritz Seider. So all NHL captaincy here, which I do actually find mildly surprising. Not that I think that anybody here is necessarily incapable, but the fact that obviously, Germany has had a national team fielded without NHL players for a while now, and obviously is not wholly comprised of NHL talent as well. So I would have thought that maybe more of a national veteran would have been given that captaincy, or at least any of the assistant captaincy, but no, they totally gifted it Holy to Draisaitl, who was Germany's flag bearer, one of them as well. So kind of cool stuff. Oh yeah, David Pastrnak was one for Czechia as well. So cool stuff.
Yeah, I personally think Leon is probably the best German hockey player in history. By
I would
the end of
agree.
his career,
I would
if
agree.
not already. So I don't think it's surprising that you put him at captain because he's who the rest are trying to emulate, or if they want to reach the NHL, right?
Certainly.
He's going to be the leader for the next generation of players. So tying back into the fans, if Germany wants to be more competitive in the future, put a face that everybody aspires to be up front. Stützle is also fitting, and Seider's been playing well for the Red Wings, I think, in showing his ability to have leadership. If it wasn't one of them, I think it honestly would have been Nico Sturm, just based on experience alone, now playing for the Wild. Former Shark right there.
Former Av as well.
So, yeah, exactly.
One with
Been
the
around,
Avalanche.
Yes.
And with the
he did win with the
Panthers.
Avalanche and the Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking it at the same time.
Man, freaking
honestly,
Nico Sturm's been around the block. Multi-time rental Stanley Cup champion. Dude's living the dream.
precisely. So, I mean, he's clearly been in the right place when it matters. I also think Peterka for the Mammoth being on this roster, assuming NHLers are
Too young.
continuing to play in the future. No, that's the thing. I'd say maybe 8 years down the line.
Yeah.
He's someone just to keep an eye on for a captain of the future. Again, assuming NHLers are still here. Also, I think this team, we all talk about Leon, but this team is going to be a dark horse because of Philip Grubauer. If he can play how he has been playing for the Kraken this year, he can steal a game or more.
Yeah. I honestly think that Mo Seider has a really good chance of being captain for Germany in the future. I mean, based on what I've been hearing about his performance this season, because I haven't watched a lot of Red Wings hockey, people have been saying, Norris caliber season and beyond here from Mo Seider. So would not surprise me with the experience that he's beginning to garner now at the international level that he could also be a future captain. I love Tim Stützle, man, but there is also a reason he has the nickname Timmy Dives. So I would not frankly be giving him the captaincy, but ooga booga.
Ooga booga indeed. So what I personally am going to do is I'm going to give this captaincies 4 Oktoberfests out of 5.
4 Oktoberfests out of
You agree, right?
No, I like it. I'm with you. I am just checking in on something here. Just kind of interested to do a quick little look here. So, moving on to the host nation, Italy. Italy's captain is Thomas Larkin. I do not believe any relation to NHL's Dylan Larkin, and it couldn't be because I looked up where he's from. With the assistant captains as follows: Luca Frigo, who had a crazy game today, Giovanni Morini, Diego Coster, and Alex Trivolato. Italy's an interesting case because what they did to form this team, because there are 0 current NHLers on this roster, is they went around the world and found players who, many of them do play in professional leagues from where they're from. So, Italy by no means is just buns, just objectively not as good as the rest of the ones, but not buns. They still professional players. They found players who have that Italian heritage and pulled them all together to play on this team. For example, their captain, Thomas Larkin, is a British-born Italian ice hockey player. Now, he does have a championship under his belt for the DEL League. He has AHL experience playing for the Springfield Falcons on multiple occasions. He's played in the ECHL, he's played in the KHL, and obviously is currently in the DEL and has played with Italy at the international level quite a few times now, taking a look here. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me that he is serving as the captain for them here. He has been around the block for a while. He's 35, so just another one of those international veterans here.
Certainly. And when you look at the breakdown of this team as posted on NHL.com with their full Olympic rosters, I think they did their best to pick captains and spread them out between their two primary or across their different primary team groupings for where they got their players. Most of them are coming from Hockey Club Bolzano and Hockey Club Valpusteria. I think both of those are going to be in the Italian league, if I understand that correctly. So they're trying to have captains and who represent those members of the team. Thomas Larkin is actually with the Schwenninger Wild Wings. So I feel like they tried to spread out their captains across the different teams from which they pulled players to be able to bring the team together, like you said.
Exactly. So you're ranking this one, man. You gotta tell me how you rank this one.
Honestly, host nation doing what it takes to make it happen. Nobody's an NHLer. They're all wild cards. I'm gonna give them 5 tortellinis out of 5.
I was thinking 5 pizza pies out of 5, but I'm with the tortellinis. All right. Up next. What the fuck? Oh no, I wrote that correctly. We're good. Latvia. Your captain for Latvia is Kaspars. Oh God, Degovins. Is that how you'd say that? Degovins. I think.
I'd probably so Dojevins.
Dojevins. Yeah, that feels more. That feels more correct. With the assistants being the Zimgus Gergensons and Uvis Balinskis, both NHLers there. So kind of a split on national team and NHLs. But digging into Kaspers here, he does have both AHL, OHL, or both, all AHL, OHL, and NHL experience. He did play not full seasons, but some limited games with the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins, interestingly enough. But he mainly has played in the KHL. Now he mainly plays in Slavic and Latvian leagues, is what it's looking like. But he has served as the captain for Latvia. It's looking like quite a few times as well. So long-time captain for this national team.
And so that makes sense, right? If he's the longtime captain. And when you look at this Latvian team, the limited NHL experience they have is not your consistent 82 game NHLers who are playing. It's certainly not in the top 6, right? We're talking fourth liners, guys who might be healthy scratches sometimes. I also see on here Rudolph's Balsers playing for Zurich is his club league. I know he used to be a San Jose Shark, actually, a former NHLer right there as well.
So there you go. So what's a Latvian thing that I can rank this? I'm not overly familiar with Latvian culture. I think I need to get more familiar.
Hold on.
Oh. But I definitely give this a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 something.
Go with I think it's pierogi.
Oh, pierogi?
Which is, well, I guess it might be pierogi and it's just spelled differently, but bacon buns is what the translation is.
Oh, no, pierogi
shaped yeast dough.
No, pierogies are pasta, so 5 bacon buns out of 5. That sounds delicious. Whatever the fuck that is. I want that. Also, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, imagine you just have like a little pastry like type of dough filled with bacon and onions.
That sounds fucking
and they're
incredible.
Like bite-sized. You could just pop a bunch of them as like little appetizers at a celebration.
If somebody who is of Latvian descent or is from Latvia is listening to this now or sometime far in the future and you're catching up on all the old episodes because you just love this show so much, send us whatever this is or send us a recipe or invite us out. I want to try whatever the fuck this is because it sounds delicious. Up next.
It does sound delicious.
Slovakia. Slovakia's captain is longtime NHLer Tomáš Tatar, one-time Avs player, with assistants being Martin Ferivari and Eric Chernak. Technically, this is not all NHL because Tomáš Tatar, I believe they said, now plays in the Swiss leagues. And he's also, I think, in his 40s. I had to look because so many of these captains are in sports terms, older than fucking dirt. And I'm sorry, Tomasz, he's 35. My bad. He's not that old. But I mean, that's old by hockey standards. The youngest captain in this whole tournament is Leon Draisaitl at 30. The second youngest is Gabriel Landeskog at 33. That is something. Little spoiler alert there. But otherwise, I mean, this just, I think, makes sense. And I think we'll very soon see, not getting into spoiler territory here, a passing of the guard with perhaps a young and up-and-coming Slovakian player.
Not to mention how hype everyone is about Dvorsky as well. Not the one we're thinking of. One of my favorite things about this team when I was doing some research. So first of all, yes, Tomas Tatar was the obvious one. Haven't heard that name in a while, but I saw it and I recognized it instantly. How about Pospisil, right? Playing for the Calgary Flames, Martin, I believe it was either his son or his nephew, Christian, who played for the roster 4 years ago in 2022 for that squad that won a bronze medal. I didn't get the exact relation. Maybe it's a brother then? Hold on. I just thought it was crazy that there's a...
Yeah, Martin Pospisil is only 26.
Oh, yeah, he is 26.
He does...
So who's Christian Pospisil then?
Hold on. Martin Pospisil sibling. I spelled sibling.
Yeah, it must be an older sibling.
Yeah, he does. It's his brother. It's Christian is his brother.
Well, I could have done better having that ready in advance. I just thought it was funny and cool to see, because when I was going through here comparing the roster to 4 years ago, by far this team has the most holdovers from the 2022 Olympic roster compared to other nations. Well, I shouldn't say compared to all other nations, because for some of the smaller nations that don't have as much NHL representation, they do have holdovers. Why I highlight Slovakia is because of what they did 4 years ago, going on a run, including beating the U.S. en route to the bronze medal. And Sweden. They beat Sweden in the bronze medal game 4 years ago. So
interesting stuff, then. Interesting stuff. Perhaps adding to the lore that we're going to share later. It is interesting, though, to think about. I will be definitely keeping an eye on the Slovaks as we continue to go further into this tournament. Now, for my favorite team that after watching today, I'm really pulling for, I cannot lie.
Wait, hold on. Did we get a ranking of the Slovaks out of 5? We didn't rank
it. What's that fucking dance called? Crazy.
I was sticking with the food. I thought you were going to talk about Lakshas.
No, I like to change it up a little bit. Okay, here it is.
Common dances are the Odzimok,
yeah. That's
and the Kadika.
Yeah. We're gonna go with. I'm gonna rank that Captain Choice 5 Odzimok out of 5. Hell yeah. And now for my favorite one, your captain for Sweden is your captain Gabriel Landeskog, with the assistants being Victor Hedman and Erik Karlsson. I mean, what else is there to say? If it wasn't Gabriel Landeskog, it was Victor Hedman, and Victor Hedman is still very much holding a prominent leadership role for this team. Some people are a little about it not being Hedman as the captain, but I mean, not many people are going to argue with the choice that Sweden has made here. And I mean, me and you talked about it a couple episodes ago. To me, with everything Landeskog has pushed through recently, and I mean, this Olympics is just another stepping stone in his comeback story. This just made sense to me. So I'm so glad to see him leading his countrymen into battle here, just like he leads the Avs. Victor Hedman, obviously, a lot of respect there. Erik Karlsson, another aged veteran who's been a part of those big moments as well. So this is a cool leadership group right now.
Yeah, and this is another country where you couldn't go wrong, really. I think you had to have Landeskog and Hedman as 1-2, but from then on, there were so many options for this team. I mean, think about it. Obviously, I have my bias, and I'm very happy to see Alexander Wenberg here on
Who
this
was
team,
on a
and he
line
wears
with
the A for the
Landeskog
Sharks.
today.
Yes, yeah, I saw that. Also, Rasmus Dahlin, he's captain of the Sabres.
Also,
right? I
a
mean,
great
think of
name.
the other names on this team. Forsling for the Panthers and what he can bring. Kempe as a leader for the Kings.
Yeah.
Joel Eriksson Ek, up and coming. Forsberg for the Predators. So many names.
Yeah.
Nylander for the Maple
Yeah.
Leafs. This is Raymond for the Red Wings. This is a stacked roster of leaders.
Yes.
In fact, similar to what I was talking about before with like the holdovers to the roster, right? Mentioning for Finland. I know we were surprised when when Pontus Holmberg was initially given a spot over possibly some others. I think of William Eklund as one name, right? But I did some digging and I actually learned that from Sweden's roster, he is the only holdover from 4 years ago from that Olympic roster. So since he has that Olympic experience, and yes, they ultimately lost in the bronze medal game to Slovakia in 2022, that I guess makes a little bit more sense and is more justifiable why the Swedes picked him to the team ahead of some others. I remember there was a lot of debate, not just by us, but across hockey media about that choice.
Yeah, then that actually explains a lot. I was not aware that Pontus Holmberg, I guess, wasn't in the NHL fucking 4 years ago. So that makes a lot of sense then why he was a part of that Olympic team. Next team.
Yeah, one of those super young guys.
That's right. I didn't rank Sweden. I ranked Sweden's captain choices 6 Swedish twins out of 5.
Yes, perfect.
Switzerland.
Cheese.
Your Swiss captain is the legend, former Norris winner Roman Josi, with his assistant captains being Kevin Fiala, Andrea Glauser, Nico Hischier, and Nito Niederreiter. Hischier and Nito Niederreiter. So not a lot of surprise there. Nearly all NHL guys there also went with the spread on a lot of leadership there, handing out a lot of A's. Doing some quick digging into Andrea. See if I can find anything. He does have a couple world championships
for the Nationals.
Yes, pretty much strictly plays in the Swiss National League. Has served as the captain of Switzerland on the international level before, so doesn't surprise me then if he's a part of that leadership group. But doesn't surprise me that they gave it to Roman Josi either. Obviously, longtime captain of the Nashville Predators. So choices make sense there.
I would say 5 Swiss watches out of 5. Pick your favorite brand for those of you at home.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Now, for the most controversial captaincy for the USA, your captain is Austin Matthews, with his assistant captains being Matthew Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy. Now, I can't lie. When I first saw that it was Austin Matthews, I kind of scoffed and I said, of course, because, that just felt like the obvious outcome at that point. That being said, though, trying to see how many people, not counting JT Miller here, are also captains on this or assistant captains on this roster. I'll mainly stick to captains. Let me.
Well, so I'll say one that's like the exception, because Quinn Hughes was obviously,
yes,
but now with the Wild isn't, and I'd be willing to bet they offered him one and he probably would have turned it down. After all that pressure, I think part of his success with Minnesota early on is enjoying that freedom of not having to be the captain. So I'd be willing to bet he didn't actually want to have to deal with that again.
Yes, probably.
Here for the US.
Very fair. Obviously, so you have Brady Tkachuk is obviously a captain for his team, JT Miller. Dylan Larkin is captain for his team. Clayton Keller is captain for his team. So we do have some captains, obviously, on this squad. Quinn Hughes, former captain, as you mentioned. And I mean, I understand their choice in the fact that Austin Matthews was the captain for the Four Nations as well. And a lot of people like to point out that Austin Matthews, hasn't done anything in his career. But that being said, as much criticism as he received, I was listening to one of our older episodes before, and you and I were commending Austin Matthews on the comeback that he was making this year after dealing with injury after injury and hit the pace that everybody expects out of him slowing down, him still trying to be the best player that he can for his team and leading a team in arguably the hardest hockey market in the world. And that's not me saying Maple Leafs fans are shit or anything like that, but it's a loud market in a lot of different ways, if you know what I'm saying there. So for him to step up and lead that team, I think is a lot of responsibility shouldered on one person. So in fairness, it kind of makes sense that in the biggest tournament in the world that he would be the one asked to step up here. Now, do I think that there are other people on the squad who I think could also serve as captain of the U.S. team? Yes, of course I do. I think there are also some veterans here that would absolutely serve it well. I think Brock Nelson would be a great choice, bias aside. I also think Dylan Larkin would be a great choice as well, personally. And I also would love if Charlie McAvoy himself was just the captain.
Yeah, to me, the two obvious ones that I was super happy about, I think Austin Matthews, I think as fans, we get into this pattern and seeing all these star players who wear the C and who are offensively minded, right? Look at McDavid, right? Look at what Celebrini's going to be when he dons the C. Crosby, right? All of these superstar players who wear the captain. But being the captain is also bearing that extra weight for the team, like you said, keeping a calm head, being a leader, not just with words, but with actions out there. So you don't have to be the superstar player. You don't have to be the flashiest. I mean, I know you're going to hate me for saying this, man, but Jamie Benn is one that he can lead his team. He's not your top line guy who's going to be a superstar leader, but there's different types of leadership and different types of energy and being able to calm a room. I think Austin Matthews brings that here to Team USA. He has that experience before as well. And Charlie McAvoy, man, he lit it up at Four Nations, was one of my favorite players to watch from that entire tournament. I'm with you though. I think even though Brady Tkachuk wears the C, you'd have to give Matthew a letter first on experience alone. And I just personally would think of Matthew first. But I think I would have gone with Austin Matthews as captain and then 3 A's. Actually, no, let's go for the full 4. Fuck it, right? I would give Clayton Keller, Dylan Larkin, Brock Nelson, and Charlie McAvoy assistant captains if it was me choosing, because I think Clayton Keller is another player who, while young, should be the future captain of this team.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. And I can't lie, I'm not a big fan of the Matthew Tkachuk as an assistant captain choice. I just, I'm gonna carefully leave it. I don't agree with the choice. I don't necessarily think of full on leadership with Matthew Tkachuk, although he certainly was the spearhead of the miracle Cinderella run for Florida in 2023 when they eventually ended up losing to the Knights. He was definitely who you look to in those moments. And I mean, he is the most bombastic and boisterous for sure, especially looking at the Four Nations. So I can understand why they did it, but for me personally, I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I'm with you, right? He's the one who has a letter that I would have not given one to. I think with the generations, right? The experience, the family lineage, that's part of why Brock Nelson should get it. He is also an experienced leader. We agree on Dylan Larkin, Clayton Keller, I think, even though I know he's younger. Somebody has to give up an A, right? And I think out of everyone, he can go out there and be a rat and do his thing, and he doesn't need a letter to do so. And this team is deep, right? He can fire up this team. There's plenty of talent on this team, though it's not necessarily stacked with leadership the way like I think Team Sweden is, right?
Yes. Yes, I agree. Yeah, but there's your team captains, everybody. That ended up being a more fulfilling discussion than I thought it was going to be. So that was fun. Ranking USA. I rank it 3.8 Statue of Liberties out of 5. It's just the most contentious of the 5, but I don't necessarily disagree with the choice for Austin Matthews necessarily. Now, on to our first game of this episode. That's right. We're playing games here at the Captain Avalanche Fancast, and the rules of this game are very simple. We have 5 of the competing countries for the men's ice hockey tournament listed here, with 5 players from each country making a full lineup for that country, i.e. 3 forwards and 2 defensemen. The goal of this game is to select 1 player from each country and to make your own full starting lineup, so 3 forwards and 2 defensemen. We will read out the representatives for each country first, and you can message us your own starting lineup from these options as well. So it has to be from these options. It can't just be anybody. So, first, from Canada, we have Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Sidney Crosby, Cale Makar, and Josh Morrissey. For the USA, we have Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk, Quinn Hughes, and Jacob Slavin. For Sweden, we have William Nylander, Philip Forsberg, Lucas Raymond, Rasmus Dahlin, and Victor Hedman. For the Finns, we have Mikko Rantanen, Sebastian Aho, Roope Hintz, Miro Heiskanen, and Esa Lindell. For Czechia, we have David Pasternak, Martin Necas, Tomáš Hertl, Radko Gudas, and Filip Hronek. Can I just say that is the goofiest picture they could have picked for Sebastian Aho?
But it perfectly encapsulates Sebastian Aho. When I think of him, I think of that meme when he's biting down on his mouth guard and just tilting his head sideways, chirping without saying a word. Yeah, that is like iconic. I find it funny that Finland is basically
all the stars. I just
Panthers,
realized that,
and a
right
few
now.
Avs. But yeah, like all of these options are stars. But if you look top to bottom on their roster,
yeah,
it's like 80% between 3 NHL teams of being the Stars, the Panthers, and the Avalanche. It's crazy.
The Stars have kind of monopolized Finnish players. We actually did for a while on the Avs when Mikko was still with us, but yeah, the Stars have somehow monopolized the Finnish players. But I had this exercise already, and I already have my 5 here that I have selected. It's fucking really tough because I mean, especially with like Canada, what a fucking stacked 5-man unit here. But I think I have made my my choices from each.
Yeah, can I just say, out of Canada, I would keep 4 of them and throw in probably either Hedman or Dahlin, and that would be my ideal out of this entire 25 names. But oh well, we'll pick 1 of each. I do have my 5 pulled up. So you go ahead and go first, my friend.
All right. From Canada, the hardest one, but I'm going to select Nathan MacKinnon. A little bit of bias there, but of course I'm going to select Nathan MacKinnon. But I mean, bias aside, Cale Makar's there too. But I can only select 3 forwards and 3 defensemen and 2 defensemen. And ultimately, just, being an Avs fan, knowing what Nathan MacKinnon brings to the table is amazing as McDavid is, as much of a leadership as Crosby has. With where MacKinnon is at right now, MacKinnon is who I want. From the USA, I'm going to take my first defenseman in Quinn Hughes. From Sweden, I'm going to take my second defenseman in Rasmus Dahlin. From Finland, I'm going to take Mikko Rantanen. And from Czechia, I'm going to take David Pasternak.
Alrighty, yeah,
not totally biased there.
Not totally biased. I said I would keep 4 players from Canada if I could. I think
You can
McKinnon
only
would actually
select
be number 4 for me.
You can only select one from
So,
each nation, Dom. Do you not understand how
I
this game
know.
works?
I'm just calling out your bias might be bigger than you expected. That's okay.
Not bigger than I expect.
anyway.
It's my choice, man. You fucking select who you want to select. That's who I think.
Fine.
If you're telling me out of these choices, if I had to make the best fucking roster possible, in my mind, that is it. That is me making the best one. Those are the 2 out of all of the wingers on this list, and there are some fucking talented ones. Mikko Rantanen and David Pastrnak, since Nikita Kucherov is not on this fucking list, are the best of all of the wingers available, because Nathan MacKinnon and Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby are all fucking centers, as is Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel. Kachuk is a winger, but obviously then you have Phil Forsberg, William Nylander, who are wingers. I think Lucas is, I don't know if Lucas is a winger or a center, but either way, in my mind, those are the best wingers on this list. Martin Necas is up there. I love him to death, but I love David Pastrnak also. David Pastrnak is a big game motherfucker. And obviously Mikko Rantanen is Mikko Rantanen. Very familiar with that.
Well, that's why I'm going to work up this list in the reverse order you did, because simply put, the hard part for me was deciding my defense, and I knew I wanted it to come from a combination of Canada, the US, and Sweden. So it made it easy for me. I'm picking forwards from Czechia and from Finland. And I'm with you. I'm taking David Pastrnak. That was my first pick, easiest pick out of the way for me. I'm actually going to take Sebastian Aho from Finland. This is where it gets tough. I think I'm with you. I'm going to take Quinn Hughes from the USA. I know I'm going a little bit out of order here. For Sweden, it really does come down to wanting one of their defensemen. So I'm going to go with Rasmus Dahlin as well. I think he's really good. Victor Hedman is great. And like I'd been pushing for possibly a captain of Sweden. I'm surprised Landeskog isn't even on this list. But I do think Dahlin is the future. So I'm with you picking Dahlin, picking Hughes as my defensive pairing, which means I'm going to take Sid the Kid. If it's the Olympics, who's going to get me the golden goal? It's got to be Sidney Crosby. He just finds a way. But man, I so badly wanted to pick Kale, and I was just like, I want a U.S. defenseman and I want a Swedish defenseman, and that just because that looking at those guys, the offense is better on these other teams. So I knew I had to take a defenseman there. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, Kale versus Sidney was really tough for me.
Yeah. And I mean, it'd be so cool if in some alternate universe we could have Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes as a top pair. That would be the most broken thing I think you could ever put out on the ice, because yes, they're very gifted offensively, but I think people underestimate how good both of them are defensively as well. Even with Hughes being a little bit more undersized, they are insane at what they do for a reason. They are the top 2 defensemen in the NHL for a reason, and it'd be cool in an alternate universe. But yeah, Canada was hard because you're right. Sidney Crosby, just on the pure pedigree alone, 3 Stanley Cups, multiple Hart trophies, multiple MVP or multiple Conn Smythes, multiple Olympic medals, multiple championship medals. I mean, it is hard not to pick Sidney Crosby, but I'm thinking of right now in this moment where all these players are at, I would pick Nathan MacKinnon. That's why I edged that just a little bit more.
Yeah, see, that's fair. Right now he's leading the league, right? Or he's up there. I forget where we left things right before the Olympic break.
I think he's second currently to McDavid.
Which is why I was going to, if you had to say I couldn't pick Crosby or I shouldn't pick Crosby based on his age and his prime being past.
I'm not saying you shouldn't.
I think I'm just saying if I wasn't going to pick Crosby, but I was still picking a Canadian forward, I hate to do it to MacKinnon, but I think I would actually have to do McDavid here just based on his performance as well at 4 Nations. I know they both performed. It's splitting hairs here.
Who won the 4 Nations MVP, Dom?
I know who. Just watching McDavid out there, You know what? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, friend. I know you want McKinnon, but I
don't want you to pick who I want you to pick.
Picks.
I want you to pick who you want to pick. I'm just telling you that you're a silly fucking goose for some of the shit that you're saying right now.
Fine, I'm a silly goose, and I'm getting my stuff wrong.
We need a backtrack, though. Why? I think with Finland, I could understand maybe somebody taking like Heiskanen, but why Aho over Rantanen?
For me, you're asking me if I choose one lineup. I think Aho brings composure, and I think he brings that extra pass. Yes, Mikko Rantanen can shoot, but if I have Crosby in the center and I have Pasta already working with him, waiting for a one-timer, I want Aho to be that bit of a Swiss Army knife more so than another pure winger. So I didn't look at this as center winger. I looked at this like any.
I didn't
center
either. It just kind of ended up that
wings.
way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I have a bias towards Aho. I've made it clear that in his Rat era, I'm not a big Rantanen fan, and I get it. He is a skilled player, but I think if I'm picking one lineup, the element of vibes and just confidence in what team I believe in and I want to see succeed has to be a part of that.
Sure. Also, now watch Nathan McKinnon's going to go and get the golden goal, and you're going to look like a silly fucking goose. You're going to look like a silly guy.
No,
you're going to look like a silly guy. I know I said it's going to be Celebrini, but now it's like, oh, you said silly goose things, so you're a silly goose.
Well, what are we going to do? Because it can't be a Crosby assist, or at least it doesn't look like it'll be a Crosby assist right now based on the line combinations. Are we about to get like a Tom Wilson assist to celebrate for the golden goal? Because that would be hysterical.
Golden goal. Yeah, it is some not necessarily like questionable. Also, I'd like to say it's so funny to me that people are like, why is Nick Suzuki on the fourth line? Brother, there is no fourth line. This is 4 first lines. Like, Nick Suzuki is not going to get any less ice time. I promise you. Like, I'm sorry that he's on a team with Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, and Connor McDavid. Nick Suzuki is an amazing player. He leads the Canadiens. There is good reason why he is on the Canadian team. What, brother? What would you like John Cooper to do? He's using all the tools at his disposal in weird ways, but there is no fourth line on Canada's Olympic roster. There simply is not.
Yeah, there's not even a second line. There are 4 first lines, like you said. And think about the spread of their enforcers, too. They have an enforcer on every line. Now that they have Sam Bennett in the lineup, they still have Hagel. They still have Marchand. They have Stone, who can be that way on occasion, but especially Tom Wilson. And they have them all spread out. So they literally have a rat/enforcer and then 2 offensive superstars paired with him on every single line. It is the most broken lineup. If Canada does not win this cup, it is a crisis. A cup. Medal. Jesus.
Up. We'll get there. But anyway, that was a fun game. Everybody, message us on your starting lineup and let us know if it's something absolutely cursed. Although, Dom, did you have like an all Sharks starting lineup that you made?
I did create an all Sharks lineup.
All right, who do you got?
Unfortunately, there are no members, current or former. That is the asterisk here, current or former, right? The Sharks only sent a few players to the Olympics.
Yep.
There are no American-born ones, so I'm using the U.S. as a free square, and I will take Quinn Hughes. But from Canada, of course, Macklin Celebrini. From Finland, of course, Mikael Granlund. From the Czechs, I have Tomáš Hertl. And then as my other defenseman, I have Erik Karlsson.
Oh, so you're just taking anybody from anywhere, you dork. This isn't even part of the game anymore. You're just taking people from everywhere. I did mean to say, to conclude this game, I think we both should pick a goaltender. Now, this can be a goaltender from anywhere, since there isn't any goaltender on any of these 5 lineups. And, I think it'd just be fun. So you can pick a goaltender from any of the 12 teams, but they have to be playing in the tournament. So who is the goaltender you're going with in your lineup?
Backing up, I picked one from each of those 5 countries, so not from anywhere. And there aren't enough former Sharks or any former Sharks in our 25.
Yeah, I'm
matrix,
saying from
so yes,
anywhere that they're not in the matrix. All right, that's what I'm saying.
Ooga booga. Well, there's
sorry, not everyone's played for the Sharks, Dom.
For the goaltending I saw today, it might actually change things. This is a tough question.
Everybody wants Clara now.
Well, and he might be out. That's unfortunate.
That's the shitty part, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Ooh, this is so tough. I'm scrolling through looking at all of them. Oh. I'm really struggling. Do you know which one you would take? Because I'm really struggling right now.
No, I was hoping you would think about it and pick one first.
Okay. Well, I feel partially inclined to pick one not from those 5 countries so that we continue spreading it out and making it different. So I'm going to go with, if I wasn't going to take one from the big 5 countries, I'd go with Grubauer from Germany with how he's playing, honestly, if I wasn't going to take one from the big 5. If I was going to take one from the big 5, I'd honestly probably take one of the ones for Czechia, honestly. I think they're all playing super well right now, so I have struggled figuring out which one of them is the starter, but I would feel like that would be really fun, any of them, of Dostal, Vamilka, or Vladar.
You got to pick one.
Fine. I'd go with Dostal probably.
All right. There you go. I would take Elvis Merzlikins. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to pick Elvis. I love you, Elvis, but no. I'm just scrolling through the goaltenders here to try and make my final decision here because this is tough. It's tough. And obviously a couple teams don't have an NHL goalie. Mads Sogard. No. Oh man, I honestly am probably gonna have to go, big here on these ones. Give me Logan Thompson.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. Like I think it's hard not to pick from one of the big ones, but I really tried to get out of that. But I think Logan Thompson's a great pick.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll be interested to see how some of these other goaltenders perform throughout the tournament. Obviously, big performances from both Italy and Slovakia today, as we'll get into. But before we get into the men's, we got to talk about the women's. The women's Olympic hockey tournament has already been well underway and is close to finishing out their preliminary pool play. And if you have not, at the very least, been watching the U.S. and Canadian teams, you have been doing yourself a disservice. I will say, with the men's tournament, there is a good possibility for an upset, an unexpected final that isn't the USA or Canada, or a run by an underdog, which, again, based on today, very well could happen. But with the women's tournament, the difference between the US and Canada versus the rest of the world is frankly staggering. Staggering. Both of these two teams are so far and above everyone else, it is absurd. I've been primarily watching the U.S. women's team, and for an opposing team to even get 10 shots on them over the course of an entire game is a miracle. In fact, the U.S. is out shooting their opponents 174 to 66 across 4 games. They have shut out their opponents in every single game except one, where Czechia, at this point, let's be honest, got a lucky goal. And the U.S. ladies have scored 5 goals in every game they've played. We'll talk about the history they made against Canada in today's fun fact, so you'll just have to wait patiently. But The U.S. women's isn't just dominating, they are steamrolling every opponent with little effort. They have the puck on their sticks nearly the entire game and turn every contest into a shooting gallery. Not only that, but they are unafraid to get nasty out there. If you think there isn't any physicality in women's hockey, look again.
Yeah, and that's something with an evolution too. I believe it coming into this year's Olympics, the IIHF or the rules that are being pulled from for the Olympic rules have been, I don't know if we should say relaxed or expanded depending on how you look at it, but the point is that hitting and checking has been more defined in what is and isn't acceptable, and there is more checking allowed in the women's game than even 4 or 8 years ago. So, love to see that these teams are actually following through on that, seeing the PWHL talent on some of these teams as well, so they have more experience with that. It's these women's games have been really fun to watch as just a masterpiece, an art show of how to dominate in hockey.
Yes, certainly so. And if you think the USA and Canadian men's hockey teams have a heated rivalry, no kissing included, then you are very unfamiliar with the women's rivalry. These two teams despise each other. I mean, there is some vicious hate when these two teams play on the international stage, and there is no love lost. Two examples. One, the U.S. scored their 4th goal against Canada in their pool play, and 2 players were taken down in the corner. The U.S. player, Hannah Bilka, nets the goal, gets taken into the boards by a Canadian. Hannah gets up and immediately is shit-talking to the crumpled Canadian while she celebrates the goal. Another instance is when Canada did win gold over the USA a few Olympics back. And one of my favorite quotes from the Canadian women were, "I heard the U.S. was stepping on our flag in their locker room. So now my question to them is, would they like us to sign it?" The nice way of putting it is...
That's iconic.
The nice way of putting it is that these two teams are not nice to each other. But Canada, much like the men's side in some way, has been criticized as a, quote, old boys club, unquote. That Canada is opting to take primarily older veterans and neglecting some of the present youth talent that they have, and the decisions seem to be costing them. Even with Marie Poulin out for Canada, and she is their captain, I genuinely don't think it would have changed a thing for the Canadians in their matchup against the U.S. Perhaps they maybe wouldn't have been shut up, but that is a strong maybe. But looking at the recent play of these two nations, particularly in the rivalry series, it is clear that the direction the U.S. is taking is allowing them to begin to pull away from Canada. And this tournament may show us just how truly far ahead the U.S. women are now, particularly if they walk their way to gold. The crazy part is Canada is still better than all the other nations they've played, which all but ensures a U.S. and Canada final. I don't ever doubt Canada's ability to bounce back and beat the U.S. They've done it many times before, but this year it does not feel likely.
And I think it's important to highlight here, if looking back to our fun fact last week, these two teams have almost always, all apart from one occasion, finished as gold and silver. So they have played each other for the final game, and one team has won and one team has lost, and Canada has won more of those. But this is a far more legitimate rivalry than when we see in the men's, because the Canadian men's side has always realistically come out on top over the US. If we go back and look through the history, it's very rare that you see the US triumphing over Canada, especially in a gold medal game from the men's game. So this rivalry is much more intense, much more real. Like you said, Corey, I would say that there is one other team that is not getting enough attention here in the women's game, and partly because of who they have played, or more accurately haven't played, because in Group A, the US, Canada had also Czechia, Finland, and Switzerland. Switzerland has an insane goalie
Yes.
who could steal a game from these teams. Finland has been the bronze medalist most out of all those teams, and Czechia is the dark horse expected to be a medal contender. So you have 4 of the legitimate medal contenders in one group. Meanwhile, in Group B, Sweden has been walking all over everybody and their flag. Why don't they? Because they had a perfect sweep in their games and a plus 16 goal differential, having only conceded 2 goals in 4 games of play against Germany, Italy, Japan, and France. So it'll be interesting to see how that all draws out. I think that means that Canada most likely would encounter Sweden at some point along the way, whereas the US would likely have a rematch with either Finland or Czechia, if I'm bracketing correctly.
Yes, hold on. I need to look real quick. US women's Olympic hockey team. I need to see how many saves that Swiss goaltender had, because she was actually,
I think it was in the 40s.
it was no, I think it was more than that. She was genuinely incredible. Let me see. Okay, yeah, she had 45 saves on 50 shots. That's insane. I mean, my goodness. That's still a 900 save percentage. I mean, come on. Gotta give her credit where credit is due.
And she did even better, arguably, against the Canadians, didn't she?
Let me take a look here. You might be right, because I'm remembering she had an even more insane performance. Yeah, here's their game against Canada. Yeah, Canada had 55, and the Swiss team only had 6 shots. He made 51 saves. Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, the goaltender for Switzerland has been playing out of her freaking mind.
Hold on, no,
really
we
great
can't
to
just call
see.
her the Swiss goaltender. We gotta say this woman's name. Saskia Maurer. I can't say.
I didn't want to botch her name, so I didn't go for it. But yes,
No. Hold on. There's pronunciation guides. There's pronunciation guides. I'm gonna look it up. You just keep going. But yes, she was incredible.
Yeah, I think it's Saskia Maurer, is what you're saying, or Maurer. But yeah, the amount of saves she has made has been nothing short of outstanding. I mean, these games should have been double-digit losses for Switzerland, like 10-0, based on how the US was constantly circling, how Canada was as well. Although Switzerland, I feel like they did do a bit better against Canada at points in that game. There were large portions where they're just getting cycled to death, and they'd be better off just putting multiple goalies out there just to sit on the ice and use their pads as obstructions, because that's all that their defense is doing with their sticks and just dropping to a knee trying to block lanes, right? It's been pure domination by the offense of the teams they've played against. And yet, I think there's got to be, I don't fully understand the tiebreakers, but somehow with only 2 points through 4 games, Switzerland has qualified. Meanwhile, Japan with 3 points in their 4 games hasn't for the knockout rounds. So I think there's some type of world rankings thing going on here, which is part of also why Group A is so strong compared to Group B, trying to ensure that all the best teams don't end up on one side of the tournament bracket for the knockout round portion.
I found the pronunciation. Where is she? Where is she? Oh, why must I be so sleepy? I can't find her. Where are you? Oh, okay. I can't say that. It's like Maurer. She like trills her R's, and I can't trill. But it is Saskia. So shout out Saskia, who is fucking insane.
Yeah, so it just seems like all the best talent is in Group A here at the Olympics, apart from Sweden. So again, just interested to see how that all plays out because Germany has barely won some of their games. Italy is actually going to qualify for the knockouts from women's perspective, and their reward for qualifying is they get to meet the U.S. in their first knockout game.
Also, in response to your other question, I have no idea how some of their rulings are supposed to be working in this case. It is very odd to me. Especially because I read over some of the rules that they're supposedly having in place for this tournament that differs from the NHL. I read some of them and I'm just like, wow, this makes not any sense at all. So don't worry, it's not just you. But speaking of, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, my big thing is just with the points and these groups being so heavily weighted to Group A. There's got to be something about the world ranking where they're trying to force a knockout round outcome because unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, fortunately, we have the PWHL and the women's game is going to grow and the parity is going to improve around the world. There is a strong interest, and this has only been a sport at the Olympics for, I mean,
since
what
98.
was it I said last time? 98, right? So it's much newer to the Olympics compared to the men's game. So it takes time, but it would make sense if they're also trying to ensure that we have the better teams in the knockout round and they aren't punished for playing better teams in the round robin. So I guess if you spread them out, then maybe we guarantee the best teams make it to the knockout, but we have more games that are these type of beatdowns. So maybe they were trying to prevent that and create added parity within the pool play and make it more exciting to watch. I'm not quite sure. It feels like a little bit of a manipulation of the system trying to force an outcome here of the best countries qualifying. But in any case, we will get to see more of Saskia's goaltending in the knockout rounds, it appears.
Absolutely. If her team can get some more shots, they might have a chance. But definitely make sure you are checking out the women's tournament. It is definitely a worthwhile watch, especially kind of those higher end teams and Saskia specifically. Now then, what started today, Dom?
Well, hockey, as well as other sports. Do you want the specific matchup?
Oh my fucking God. Dom, what were we super giddy about going to sleep last night? What fucking started today?
Men's hockey started at the Olympics for round robin play.
Thank you. My God. What started today? Do you mean this or that? What podcast are we on, Dom? It's a hockey podcast. Of course I'm talking about fucking hockey.
I'm clearly off my game today, everyone.
We're gonna need to have a talk after this. Guys, don't be surprised if you don't hear Dom from the tank in the next episode. He's gonna be Dom in the dungeon for a while.
No,
he's under review. Let's say. Anyway, yes, the gem of the Olympics, the men's hockey tournament, has finally begun. And I was like a kid on Christmas. I was giddy going to sleep last night with the excitement that there would be the highest level hockey being played every single day. And it doesn't matter who's on the ice because we are in for some great games. And today's first two tilts are absolutely evidence of that. And if I have learned anything watching Olympic hockey is that the refs are not calling shit. I've never seen so many obvious penalties from both teams in the Italy-Sweden game go uncalled. But I suppose I understand why, because if the refs called everything, the unfiltered havoc that some of these teams could reap on others would be earth-shattering. Some of these teams' power plays fuel the nightmares of opponents. You have to keep them off the ice to prevent 20 goals being scored. But let's jump right into some of our observations from today's contest. Slovakia takes down Finland. Now, Dom, you were the one who caught this game nearly in its entirety. I did finally this evening catch some of it, although I still do want to go back and kind of review it again because it seemed like a really tight and entertaining game until it was really opened up. But go ahead and lead the way. Tell us what went down today because people are calling this an upset.
I think it is an upset, but I also think maybe we shouldn't be so surprised, as I hinted about before. If there's any team that is always going to be live for an upset, I do think it's Slovakia. And at this point, I think anybody beating Canada is an upset, but I think the US, Sweden, Finland and Czechia are in that next like tier where if any of them beat each other, even considering the US getting beat by some of them, I don't know how much of an upset it is. Maybe by Czechia, but not so much by Finland or Sweden. If you feel me there, I think Slovakia is the next one there, knocking on the door, saying we're here and we're here to compete. And they showed up that way today. It wasn't their best first period. Finland definitely dominated play, but Slovakia got the first goal from Slavkovsky, and it was a sweet one. A turnover in the corner. I want to say it was actually Heiskanen who turned it over, and he was able to Slavkovsky, that is, toe drag, pull it across and almost back. So it was very lateral and back up ice, if you will, in front of the goaltender who was in net today for Finland. I want to say it was Saros.
It was UC Saros.
So, yeah. Okay. So he pulled Saros too far out of the net and was easy to put the goal past him. So Slovakia goes up 1-0 early in a period that the first period was definitely dominated by Finland. In the second period, we saw that start to change some, where Finland did get on the board, and Slovakia was more and more in the game, though. They were starting to find their stride. The shot count was a lot more even. It was back and forth play. Both teams making turnovers, getting chances, both teams checking really hard. But the third period is really where Slovakia took over. And I think the moral of the story here is that these teams that are live for an upset and are underrated, this is all NHL talent, and maybe not all NHL talent, but all very experienced. I went through and did the numbers, and it's a total of 9 players for Slovakia who were on that 2022 Olympic team that won bronze. And then they add NHL talent on top of that. So, and that is headlined by Slavkovsky, who falls into the category of both of those, because he was 17 when he played for them in the 2022 Olympics. He actually scored 2 goals in this game. The final score was 4-1 for Slovakia over Finland. Why this matters, Slavkovsky, he has 9 goals in 8 Olympic games played. He is 21 and averaging more than a goal per game at the Olympics. That makes him live to pop off in any game and keep Slovakia in it. And they've clearly shown they can play well defending a lead. But also the other hero of the game, how about the Slovak netminder?
I was going to say.
Levi, I want to say, it's like a rolled L after an H. So it's Levi like that. 38 saves on 39 shots faced. That's a .974 save percentage. Against all of that, we were debating Aho or Mikko Rantanen. I don't know either. You're going to tell me you have that save percentage against both of them and all of the offensive talent that Finland has. I think they caught Finland napping a little bit. They got that early goal that just woke up Finland, because, again, Finland was playing better in the first period, but it's one bad turnover. Slovakia capitalizes on it, and suddenly they're in the driver's seat and can play with the lead. And they were very effective at that. With that third period, they got a power play goal. That was the second one Slavkovsky scored. And then they eventually got an empty netter on top of it. So this team, the Slovaks they're good. They're feisty. They're a lot of fun to watch. And I mean, like I said, 9 players who were on the Olympic squad. And then you add the NHL talent this year. I'm just going to rattle off some of the quick names we said earlier, just as a reminder. But when you can then add sorry, that's Sweden. My bad.
I was going to say,
on top of that, you can add Dvorsky, who I'm sure if you're on social media, everybody's been hyping up Dvorsky.
Delmore Dvorsky.
You add Pospisil, Regenda. He's got an agenda, and I bet he's going to do it again at some point. But in particular, on the defensive side, I'm looking at Simon Nemec for the Devils, highly touted prospect, right? Who's very young. He wasn't, I don't think, on their roster 4 years ago. I'd have to double check myself there. For Harvey and Chernak, like you add some insane amount of talent to their defense from the NHL level that they didn't have 4 years ago. And they still have all that same chemistry, that offense, that ability to be a little feisty in games. So if this team gets a lead, they have a goalie who, by the way, he is in the Minnesota Wild's system.
Oh my
He's
God,
at the University of Iowa, but he is set to be potentially the Wild's AHL goaltender in a year's time.
Obscene!
If you need a goaltender, call Minnesota, apparently. So this team is going to be fun for the rest of the tournament. If they get a lead, you better watch yourself.
But you know, what did I say? What did I say when we were previewing the Olympics? I said it kind of in passing, but I meant it when I said that Slovakia had some low-key gamers on their team. And today just demonstrated that as they are led by Slafkovsky, who is a first overall pick, by the way, that people were saying was going to be a bust. I don't think that's true. That line of him, Suzuki, and Caulfield is absolutely electric. That's why I love the Canadians. Slafkovsky has a chance to be really, really good in this fucking tournament. So I'm excited to continue to watch the Slavs as we keep rolling along here.
Well, and the one other thing with his success is it throws back the debate again for the fourth time, I'm guessing now, about Caulfield. Why isn't he on this roster? Because clearly,
on the Slav roster? Well, because he's not Slavic.
No,
then.
just on the U.S. roster, of course.
Sorry.
Anyway, if you're not trying to catch me in those moments, like, at least I don't do that with all my shitty ass dad jokes. But anyway, I'm not just laying traps like, gotcha, bitch.
Hey, you said it, not me. What are you talking about, dude? I knew.
Anyways, point is, it just throws back to the conversation of what he's showing he can do here and what that line has been able to do. Why wouldn't the U.S. want their piece of that line in Caulfield here, especially compared to some of the older guys? Slovakia's roster is incredibly young with the number of holdovers they had from prior tournaments, right, from prior Olympics. Even when you look at their NHLers that they have, Regenda's still, I think he's younger than 30 still, if I remember correctly. So
I would hope so.
A lot of their talent is on the younger side. And so that's what I also think makes them very live in these games that are going to be close physical contests, potentially if they go to overtime, that they might have the legs and the speed late in game to cause bad matchups for some of the favorites.
Yeah. So like I said, just excited to see what the Slavs can continue to do. Because to me, they're kind of in the same realm as Czechia in that they can be kind of underdogs. They can be kind of underrated. But if people aren't careful, they will catch you fucking lacking. And again, I mean, you look at some of these goaltenders, it's like, well, they're not NHL goaltenders, but they might be someday because multiple goalies, even for Italy, as we'll talk about, are NHL prospects or have NHL connections. So these guys aren't just fucking nobodies. And I mean, that goes for obviously the Slavs here today. So again, very, very excited to see how this team goes. I've said it 5 times now. Again, everybody, I'm sorry. Me no find word good right now, but you know what me say.
Well, I also want to take this opportunity really quickly because with the way the men's pools are set up, it's different than the women's, right? The women's have 10 teams, 8 qualify for the knockout rounds. In the men's game, it's different. We have 3 pools of 4 teams.
Everybody goes to
teams. Yes, everybody goes to knockout, and the top 4 teams get a bye. So you expect the winner of each pool and then the best second place team, and there's some tiebreakers, and goals for was one of those, or goal differential is one of those. So having a 3-goal lead in a win over Finland, they now get to play Italy, and then than Sweden, right? They had this was the toughest group in Group B probably, but they could potentially be 2-0 and have a massively plus goal differential going into a matchup with Sweden that could project to be a very defensive battle, considering the talent, where the talent is weighted on both sides of the ice there. Who knows? Slovakia could position themselves really well in seeding to have a plus matchup, while Finland might be a tough matchup for someone else if they end up finishing third in this group potentially, right? Or Slovakia could even win this group. Who knows what happens between Finland and Sweden? So it just makes this already interesting group much more interesting for the long look ahead to who's going to have a bye and have a higher seed for the knockout rounds. Because it was something the hockey guy said in one of his videos today, but it's true. In this tournament, knowing that seeding is going to be determined by factors such as goal differential, these teams are going to be encouraged to pour it on when they're beating down on a team and to go for the throat and keep going. So Slovakia already having +3 in a game that many had projected them to lose is a huge swing of the table for their chances just all the way later on.
Yeah. And it, like I said before, this is just one of those possibilities of an underdog making a run, and it would be really fun to see. At the end of the day, yes, I have a couple teams that I'm pulling for. I would really love it if Sweden could win, or Canada, because both Nathan McKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog have the possibility of joining the Triple Gold Club, which is a World Junior Championship, a Stanley Cup, and a Olympic gold. Am I correct in that? That's Triple Gold Club? I'm fairly certain that's the case.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I would think it would be.
Either of them have a chance to join it here. Obviously, I think they both have at least one, if not two more Olympics in them. So, I mean, by no means are they have no chance ever, but it's now is, I think, the time. But ultimately, I'm hoping for good hockey. And I think it'd be really fun to see a team like Slovakia go and upset some people, because they've already done it once. Who says they can't do it a second time as they keep pushing their way through? Because who is all in Slovakia and Finland's group? Obviously, Slovakia and Finland. Who else is in their group?
They're there with Sweden and Italy. So those four teams that play today are the group together.
So that was just all group. Okay, I gotcha. So, I mean, do I think Slovakia can beat Sweden? Not if they get their shit together, but I mean, I can absolutely see the Slavs beating Italy as well. So, I mean, they could come out of this with a it's four columns now. So I think maybe 2-1-0-0 or 2-0-1 with an OT loss instead. So I definitely could see Slovakia positioning themselves well, just like you said. But just like you said, Italy and Sweden are also in this group. And that Slovakia-Finland game was not the only game today, because today Italy nearly upset Sweden. And I'm not saying that they almost upset them as in like taking a child's bottle away. No. Italy almost did to Sweden what Slovakia did to Finland. And I mean, by all accounts, Italy was at the bottom of most people's list. And like I told you before, Italy is not full of bums. There are still professional players on this team, but so it's not like total ragtag group of amateurs here, but it is a little ragtag in the fact that they have pulled players from around the world with Italian heritage together to come and play. But man, did Italy, well, they both did, but did Italy come to fucking play? Despite not having a lot of shots throughout this entire game, let me see, I had it pulled up here just now. They only had 22 to Sweden's 60. This team played well, and I mean, their game plan very clearly was be a defensive nightmare, and they were, and be as opportunistic as possible. Because I think Italy knows very well that they cannot compete with the offense of any other team. Respectfully, I'm not saying they didn't have offense. Clearly, they can generate it as they did. But they know that they do not have the star power that some of these literal super teams have. And so their strategy is one that works for the type of player composition that they have. And I learned that Italy is being coached, and I'm sure Finland would love to have this guy, by Jukka Jolonen, who coached Finland to Olympic gold in 2022, and multiple other Finnish national teams to victories and great success. And this is the strategy that he is known for. I'm sure Finland would be very appreciative to have this guy behind their bench. I don't know how Italy got him, and I didn't know that you didn't have to be Italian to coach the Italian Olympic team, I guess. So something new that I've learned today. But I mean, Italy came out, they matched Sweden's physicality. They weren't afraid to get chippy. And I mean, they weren't afraid of anything. They didn't look like the moment was too big for them. And why would it? Italy had absolutely zero expectations going into this game. And I mean, granted, the very first goal that they scored, which was the first of the game, was a total bauble by Gustafsson. And it gave Italy the first goal, roof blown off of the arena, all of the, locals, Italia. And I mean, it looked like a normal dump in, but it just quickly turned into a one-on-one, and Italy gets the first goal. And that's how all of their scoring chances looked, is they were able to break up anything that the Swedes were trying to do. Not that the Swedes didn't do anything. They had 60 shots on goal, but they took advantage, I think, of a team that's still trying to find their cohesion. And I mean, they had that energy, and it was frankly very admirable for a team with zero NHLers. And I mean, They were cheating a little bit. They were trying to get behind the D, and they gave themselves the opportunity to be in this game. It was fucking 3-2 at one point. It was 2-2. They tied the game on multiple occasions. They did not let it slip away from them. So, Dom, don't say anything about Damian Clara just yet. We'll get to him. But any thoughts kind of on the general thoughts of Italy's game plan going in for today so far?
I think in the build-up to this, myself included, expected Italy to get absolutely waxed,
shit
by
stomped,
double digits, like
yeah,
10-0. Yeah, and that have a stamp of authority by Sweden on this group, and that didn't happen. And once again, the underdog team scored first and put the pressure on the favorite to show up and prove their mettle, for lack of a better word. And yeah, Italy was not the better team in this game. They were playing defense. They were playing to survive. The dam was going to break at some point, but you have a lead. And then early in the second period, when you're down 2-1, find a way to tie it. And you're in that game. And they were even in that game for the rest of it. Being shelled or not, they were still having their chances throughout this game and keeping Sweden honest and on their toes. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. Part of the reason I didn't pick Hedman in our tables earlier is from seeing him play today. He
had
got
a rough
beat a couple of times. He had a really rough game. It was very unexpected. So that's why I wonder if they were looking past Italy, because the Swedes play Finland in their next game, which is why I really feel great about the Slovakians, because they get to play Italy next. So they could be 2-0 before they face Sweden, whereas Sweden actually has a real match and a desperate Finland in front of them. So it would not surprise me if Sweden had made the classicest of mistakes and looked past their first opponent, and they got away with it. But it would not have surprised me if had they overlooked Italy, and it definitely seems like they did.
And I mean, I do think that Sweden could have done better today. And it's not from a perspective that, they needed to take a dump on Italy. I mean, they still won the game 5-2, but just like you said, Italy was still in this game up until the final 5 minutes of the third period when Mika Zibanejad netted the insurance goal for Sweden. And there was definitely some points where I wasn't fully convinced that Sweden was going to pull out this game, and that with the momentum of being in their home country behind them, because mind you, that's the only reason Italy is in this tournament, is because of they are the host nation, so they automatically get a bid into the tournament. But with the fact that they had their country behind them and had the most literal home ice advantage that you could ask for, that, they maybe could have pushed the upset. But to me, Sweden didn't look as cohesive and just clean in their play as they could have. There was a lot of individual efforts out there, and I don't think anybody was lazy. I don't think anybody wasn't trying on Sweden, but a lot of people were trying to take the puck to the net themselves instead of trying to set up a cycle or trying to get a play going or something like that. Everybody wanted to get that flashy goal. And I mean, there are some flashy players on Sweden, so that's not a surprise. But when you look at, the 5 goals, really kind of the 4, not counting the empty netter, that Sweden scored, they all came from, those moments of team play. Yes, Sweden got a lot of shots on goal. It's what you would expect because they were and are ultimately the more talented team. But I do expect Sweden to continue to kind of build on themselves and just be better. It just looked like a rough goal, even rough go. And I mean, their goaltending was not super great. Gustafsson kind of stabled out. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Wallstead in the next game. The fact that Gustafsson basically gave up, 2 goals on the first 4 shots. The very first shot that Italy had was a goal, and neither of them looked very good. They both should have been ones that, Gustafsson, I think, on any other day would have had. I just think Sweden, and that's not to take away from Italy at all. They were still very great. I think Sweden, this was an off day for them, as much as I can say of a team that had 60 shots on goal. With that being said, speaking of goaltenders, we can't not talk about Damian Clara, who is a Ducks prospect, lucky fuckers. They drafted him, it looks like 60th overall in 2023. And if he's not out for this tournament, holy shit, he could be making the jump to the NHL very soon. He played incredible, virtually 0 rebounds, tracked the puck perfectly, was never out of position. Dom, what else can you say about Damian Clara? He played so good. He had everyone's attention.
Yeah, he had everyone's attention. And I think it was also the reach, the range, spreading out the splits, being in position, yes, not leaving his crease, which I have ranted about on plenty prior episodes, so that he was trusting his defense and being where he needed to be to make the saves. And it's unfortunate he got injured because it was on a play where he stretched out his leg to reach the post and he held it and then reached out his arm with his blocker to cover the puck and freeze it. And that extra little push, it seems like he might have pulled a muscle or hyperextended something. I really hope it's as simple as that and that he's okay. Because if it's not, I could imagine much worse things that it would have been, because it looked a little innocuous, but looked like his leg was just stretched out a little too much. But throughout the game, he was making those saves, finding a way to see through, pick out the shooter. Because obviously with his team trying to play defense in front of him, it wasn't like he had clean vision and there were screens he had to deal with off and on throughout the game as well. So really steak sauce. That's all I got to say. It's top tier from a performance. You could not ask for better. And it's always wonderful. And part of why I love the Olympics is watching how these players, oftentimes you may never have heard of, just across all these different sports, right? Not just hockey. We know a lot more of these players because of so many of them being in the NHL. But realistically, when you see these human beings step up with the pride and just be bolstered by that feeling of being able to play for that country and that desire to do well.
Yes, and I mean, that being said, also, oh God, they haven't updated it, so I forget the name of the goaltender who stepped in to take his place after he was injured. He also played really well, all things considered. I think having
it was
this
Gianluca Vallini.
Yes, okay,
was
yeah,
the one who stepped in.
That looks correct. He's right here on their roster. I mean, he stepped in admirably for having to come in stone cold after Sweden had already nearly laid out 50 shots is very admirable. So I have to give him a lot of credit for that. I think to kind of wrap up here, who got the first goal for Sweden to tie it up with the Italians? That's right, baby. That's my captain. It's Gabriel Landeskog. He leveled it for Sweden. Yeah! That's Sweden's captain, our captain, your captain, Gabriel Landeskog. Fuck yeah.
Our captain's happy about his captain.
Hell fucking yeah. But obviously, just to give you a full breakdown, Gabriel Landeskog scored the first at the literal conclusion of the power play. 1 second left. Gustav Forsling scored the second off of an absolute bomb from the top of the circle. Matt Bradley for Italy tied it after that. Also, it was Luca Frigo who scored the first goal. He had a couple good chances today. William Nylander, who I said was really looking for one, ended up getting his goal finally on a kind of broken play and backhand because Italy was very intent on crashing their net. Unfortunately, it did not serve them well there. Then Mika Zibanejad got the insurance goal, followed by Victor Hedman sealing it. Both Mika Zibanejad and Rasmus Dahlin had very strong games for Sweden today. I believe Mika Zibanejad, let's see, had a 2-point game today. Yeah, 2-point game, goal and an assist. Rasmus Dahlin had a, I believe, 3-point game. Yeah, it looks like a 3-point game today with multiple assists. He definitely looked like Sweden's best defenseman out there. So, yeah, a lot of good performances, I think, individually out of Sweden. They just kind of need to put it all together. Their top power play was Nylander, Eriksson Ek, Raymond Kempe, and Dahlin. That's pretty fucking forceful.
Yeah, and with the experience and the leadership we talked about that Sweden has, I'd like to think in practice and just going into their next game, they'll get it straightened out.
I do think so.
And listen, we put up 60 shots, but how many goals against the team that was supposed to be our easiest margin of victory? So I think this next matchup between Sweden and Finland, which is always fun, whenever we get a Sweden-Finland game, it's always fireworks.
Expect some dial there. Some dialed inness.
It's extra interesting because you have a desperate Finland who needs to get at least a point in this one, right? Probably 2. And then Sweden, who knows that they, despite putting up 60 shots, did not play their best game and always want to be improving and making sure they make that next step. So one of the best games that we'll see. We got a lot of good games coming up here soon. The fact that we get to start with Czechia and Canada, I think is going to be spicy.
Technically, Switzerland and France are on at 4 a.m. this morning. But everybody who's listening today, your games that, if you haven't seen them, you need to catch today are Switzerland and France. You can always watch it on Peacock Replay. Czechia and Canada is the other early one at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time, that is. Latvia and the U.S. play at 1 p.m., so we get to see both U.S. and Canada play their first games. And then Germany and Denmark play at 1, which I think could be a sneaky fun game. So definitely watch them all if you have time. So we have a lot. I think only a max of 4 games every day is what it looks like, but lots of hockey, and it's good because I was having some hockey withdrawal.
Yeah, so a bit of hockey withdrawal. Been trying to fill in the gaps with other sports. And I think we'll hopefully have some time to talk about some other Olympics moments here soon.
We will not today. This ended up being a full discussion.
All right. Well, then no worries. Next time, maybe we'll bring more, or who knows? We'll just be able to break down these games a bit more detail with more games rather than ones that are the same day as our recording.
Yes, obviously we've never been active during an Olympic year, so I'm realizing I was like, oh yeah, we'll have time to talk about like other stuff that you guys want to hear, but no, these hockey games are big and they are here, so we will definitely be talking a lot of hockey next week, and we will not be able to talk about every single game, so we'll have to find a way to highlight the big ones, I guess. We'll try and watch every single game, don't get us wrong, everybody, but there's no way we'll be able to talk about them all, because by the time we come back to you next week, I think there will be at least 16 different games, possibly. So no way we can.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah,
4,
we might
8,
have to do quick hitters, just like summarizing.
16.
Records.
No way we can hit on them all. So We'll try and pull out the highlights. But don't worry, everybody. That's what Dom and the Tank and I are here for, to figure out the hard stuff for you so you don't have to. But before we leave you today, we're going to play one more game, and that is the table game. This game is much simpler. We have 4 tables with NHLers from all over who are Olympians. The question is, which table are you sitting at? We will read out loud who's at each of the 4 tables, and some of the tables are... Yeah. Dom, are you looking at our tables with me?
I am, yeah.
So at table number 1, we have Macklin Celebrini, Sidney Crosby, Cale Makar, David Pasternak, Clayton Keller, Brad Marchand, and Quinn Icy Ghosts Hughes. At table number 2, we have, that looks like freaking Brandon Hagel. Yes, that's Brandon Hagel.
Yeah, Brandon Hagel.
We have
next
Brandon
on McKinnon's
Hagel.
left there.
Nathan McKinnon, Willie Stiles, Jake Ottinger, Seth Jarvis, Matthew Kachuk, and American DJ, Mika Zibanejad. At table number 3, we have Mitchie Marner, Tom, I'm going to take your soul, Wilson, Connor McDingle, Austin, my forehead is bigger than my mustache, Matthews, Brady Kachuk, Lukas Dostal, and Connor Hellebuck.
I was not ready for that one, but it is so accurate.
At table number 4, we have serial killer stare, Adrian Kempe, Dylan Larkin, Dan Vladar, Jordan Poopy Pants Biddington, Jack Eichel, Tage, looks like he's never experienced an ounce of joy in his life, Thompson, and Charlie McAvoy. So the question...
Without the fucked up face.
Yes, without his swollen face. I feel so bad for that guy. So the question is simple, Dom. What table are you sitting at?
It is simple. It's number 1, and the rest can go somewhere else. It's not even close.
It is also number 1 for me. First of all, everybody is smiling in their pictures, except for Macklin, actually. He's not really smiling. Why isn't he smiling? But that just objectively is, I think, the most fun yet stable table you can sit at, to me. Quinn probably won't talk to you. Pasta will definitely talk to you. Brad will make stupid jokes. Sid will be like lecturing Macklin. Cale will probably drop something crazy on you. Sid will tell a crazy story. That just, to me, looks like the most fun table. No way do I want to...
somehow Clayton Keller is going to be the glue that holds it all together, who can interact with all of them.
Truly. No shot do I want to sit at a table with either of the Kachuk brothers. That sounds like a fucking nightmare. Table number 4 just kind of scares me. Half of these people look like they want to fucking kill me. Table number 2 isn't too bad, but it's a little too serious for me. Although it does have Jarvie, and I know Jarvie. I think Jarvie and Otter would be really fun to sit with.
I'm sorry, but just to back up, you do not want to sit at table number 2 because Matthew Kachuk and Brandon Hagel sitting at the same table.
Oh my God, the
chairs are getting thrown at each other.
God,
you're gonna get hit by a stray chair or something. That's just everybody duck underneath the table while these two go at it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That definitely is a problem. That is a problem. And then, you know, you have Matthews and Brady. You have like multiple Canadian rivals. Oh, Matthew and Marner at the same table. That might, you know, that might bring up some old trauma there. No, I think they're still like great friends IRL. But I don't know if Connor can actually carry a conversation. The dude seems so unbelievably awkward in every interview that he's in. I don't know if Connor Hellebuck speaks ever because he's a goaltender. And then that means the table conversation is probably led by Brady, and I don't want that. And then table number 4, I don't even like some of these guys at this table, so that certainly doesn't help. But again, this just looks like axe murderer table. Like if you say the wrong thing, one of them's just gonna pull out a gun and kill you.
Axe murderer, psycho goaltenders, plus a member of the Kings, plus a member of the Knights, plus Jordan Bitchington. I'd be clinging to McAvoy for dear life.
I know,
and just
I'd be
hiding
like,
behind him.
Save me, Charlie, please. But I did check the comments for this one. A lot of people said table number 1, and it seems like the best vibes of them all. I like, for the most part, all of the players at this table. I just don't think you can go wrong with number 1 here. And I think if I had to pick a different one, I guess number 2 is a close second, just because of like Jarvie and Otter. I think they would be fun to sit with. I'd sit,
I would pick
between
table
them.
number 2 as my second, just so I could be like as close as they are on the bench to watch the next fight between Hagel and Kachuk. I want a front row seat to that fight. Screw UFC pay-per-view. I want that. I want the front row to that fight.
Why does that picture of Mika just look he just looks so zooted right now?
He looks more stoned out than Quinn got with Snoop at the Olympics.
I know, seriously. So unfortunately we don't have time to dive like deep in anything, but we can just say real quickly, what are some of the other sports that you've been enjoying? What else have you been tuning into when hockey's not on, Dom?
I watched every U.S. match, but a lot of the matches of the mixed doubles curling.
Yes.
Quite enjoyed.
Corey
our upset
squared.
over. Corey squared. Yes, actually, Corey cubed with you here, Corey. What a fun team to watch. I have a much better appreciation for curling than I did many years ago.
I know.
It's kind of like chess in a way, so it's very stimulating for the mind. I've watched through all of the men's and women's luge, and spoiler alert, Germany is still dominant, so no surprise there.
But our girl got a medal, and that was like the first time that's happened in forever, so that was really cool.
Yeah, no, that's true. I again trying to avoid spoilers in case people want to watch the full replays.
Okay.
We want I myself haven't watched the doubles yet.
No, that was in the
have
singles.
That replay queued up as my next to watch. So I want to see if we can possibly crack a medal in that as well. But yeah, watch through all the luge. And then I'm a big fan of biathlon. It is probably my favorite sport at the Winter Olympics that I don't get to watch during the rest of the year. So even though the U.S. hasn't won a medal ever in any biathlon event, I always enjoy it. So that has been one I am watching every event from.
Hey, I see you've been skiing for a while. Here's your gun. I personally obviously been watching a ton of fucking skiing and different snowboarding events. I really like slopestyle and stuff like that. And obviously the downhill. I have been watching a ton of figure skating because of course I live with two ladies, my mom and my grandma, so they love watching figure skating. So therefore I love watching figure skating, but no, I would watch it regardless of that. I just got to say, and at this point, if you haven't seen it, I don't know what to tell you. It's old news at this point. If you're not watching Ilya Malinin, holy shit. Also, he has ties to hockey because Alex Ovechkin gave him special laces that he wears during practice. So there's some little hockey tie-in lore for you. Dom, have you seen Ilya Malinin's performances?
They call him Quad God for a reason, and I do not. I am not a big figure skating fan myself, although when I was visiting my family over the weekend, I did watch some and get to see some of his best performances. This is one where I'm fine doing the spoiler alert because everybody should know by now. Getting a 200 is absurd.
Well over.
Absurd. Well, he's done it multiple times because in the team competition, he got a 200 as well. So for that medal that the U.S. got, so I just, man, absolutely bonkers that he can make a quad axel look easy. That like the thing that was never done and thought to be possibly impossible, he makes look easy and does on a regular basis. It's unreal. It's superb human talent. I don't know if you saw with your skiing, but the cross country sprinter,
I did.
Klabo going up a hill. It's like a 10-degree incline, and he just sprints away from everybody. Oh my God, that was some Captain America shit right there. I know he's not American. It's Captain Norway right there. That's what that is.
He really wanted that gold, and he certainly earned it. But to put Ilya Malinin into perspective, he's called the quad god for a reason, and that is because in his free skate, in his long program, he can have up to 7 quads. For those of you who don't understand how fucking batshit insane that is, it is rare for a skater to include 1 in their program. A quad is the hardest thing to do in figure skating currently. And Ilya inserts 7 of them. And then he just does a fucking backflip on figure skates because he can. This kid is unreal.
Oh, and he landed a backflip on one foot and kept skating. And his quads, a couple of them, based on his rotation, he starts backwards, lands forwards. They're actually 4.5.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
It is absurd.
If you haven't watched any figure skating, you certainly should. Should. For some reason, this is out of order, but I actually have 3 Olympians of the week. I thought it'd be fun to kind of spread the love a little bit while we were waiting for hockey to come on. And maybe I'll do both next week. Maybe I'll have 3 Olympians and 3 hockey players from the tournament. I don't know, but I like to recognize some of the other people who are out there competing for their nations. And obviously, I'm really mainly going to recognize Team USA. In this case, when it comes to every other event, I'm Team USA all the way, baby. So first and foremost, at number 3, we have the Corey squad, Corey squared, who despite being so unbelievably close, didn't quite get the gold, but you have to be proud because no U.S. team has ever medaled in curling mixed doubles. They upset the defending champs in Italy. It was a super, super cool thing to see. I still don't understand curling, but that was awesome. Number 2 is Breezy Johnson, downhill skier, who after watching Lindsey Vonn crash, then went out and still won the gold for the U.S. So shout out Breezy Johnson. And then finally, of course, number 1 was Ilya Malinin. The kid was insane. But there is a lot of other, I think, athletes who deserve recognition. And it is hard to fit them all in here because there are a lot of them. So there have been a lot of really cool and really insane stories from these Olympics already. Mind
if I add a few more names quickly and give three Olympians or combinations of the week? So
do.
For the Americans, how about the 1-2 duo taking gold and silver for the women's moguls, Liz Lemley and Jalen Koff for the U.S.? Also would like to recognize when we're talking about Olympians from other nations, the downhill skier who also skis Super G among other events, Von Allman for Switzerland. I can't pronounce his first name properly, I feel like, so I'm just going to go with Von Allman, his last name, but he became the first skier in that discipline to triple medal since 1968, I believe it is, at the same Olympics, and only the 3rd all-time to do that, so I believe he deserves recognition. And then, of course, I said it before, but Johannes Klabo is just unreal. Look up his name in his skiing sprint and watch him sprint up this hill and just run away from everybody. Watch the semifinal heat when the American Ogden keeps with him, and then watch the finals heat when he actually decides to kick it into full gear and just see the difference. I have to keep saying it is unbelievable and needs to be appreciated just for the ability to have that fitness as a human being.
Absolutely. Except I do that just, casually in my sleep. It's part of my morning routine. Your fun fact for today, back to hockey. The Canadian women's team made our fun fact, unfortunately, too easy to find this week. After the aforementioned dominating performance by the USA team, we learned that the Canadian women have never been shut out in Olympic history. And yet, since 1998, when women's hockey was introduced, that is 41 games prior to their loss to the U.S. this week. This was also the largest margin of victory for the U.S. over Canada in women's Olympic hockey history. This is also only Canada's 4th loss ever. Important to fact check that because Google AI misstated that information. However, every loss Canada has ever had or has ever been served has been by the U.S. And the last time Canada lost to the U.S. in the preliminary round was also in Wait, what? Why? Somebody changed up my writing here. Oh, no, never mind. No, they didn't. Was also in 1998. Here's something really insane. The Canadian women's Olympic team has allowed 5 goals against on 5 occasions across the 7 Olympics they've been in over the course of the entire tournament. To expand upon what I mean, for example, in 2002, when they won a gold medal across 5 games that they played, they won 5 of them. They only allowed 5 goals across 5 different games. And in some fucking Olympics, they only allowed 2 goals across 5 games. The U.S. put 5 goals on them in 1 game. Finally, Layla Edwards was the first black woman to score for the U.S. Olympic team in their history. A lot of history in that 1 game. Also, Kendall Coyne Schofield's little boy caught the puck when she shot it over the glass, and it was the cutest thing ever. So, there you go.
Aw, that is super cute. I must have missed that scene. I'll have to go find that. But I think your last point there about Layla Edwards, just a perfect reminder, ending note on how hockey is for everyone and ties in perfectly to what we want this podcast to be about. So, really, really happy to see history in any form and a beautiful reminder of that goal.
Exactly right, Dom. Well, everyone, the clock is counting down to the final horn. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode of the Captain Avalanche Fancast. If you have something you want to know about the Avalanche, Sharks, hockey in general, or hockey in the Olympics, reach out to us on our socials or email, and we'll be happy to try and answer it. The best thing you can do if you like what we're doing here is to follow us on whatever platform you're using and to share this podcast everywhere you can with everyone you can. I'm Captain Avalanche Corey.
And I'm Dom from the Tank.
Check out our new episodes every Thursday. Thanks, everyone.